It's all about humanity. About humanity. 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 It's all about humanity. About humanity.
What's up, Shane? How you doing, my man?
Great.
I just love that music because it has a
That
I
quote
always find
sounds
that
like the
hilarious,
guy
man.
from Mission Impossible, Ving Rhames.
Yeah, man. How's it been, man?
Excellent. I can't believe it's been a month since we did one of these already. It's crazy.
I agree. It's been a month since we did it, and a lot has happened within that month. And I'm happy to say you guys you guys are seeing it. It's here today. I'm making the decision of giving it away. You know what I mean? So we're gonna give it away in today's member giveaway. Now, you probably, if you haven't noticed already, in the chat, there's a goal, and the goal is for $5. Now, here's the thing: anyone who adds $5 into a super chat will qualify to win this. So if you're a channel member already, then you already qualify, because really that's how it is. That's a channel membership. A channel membership is $5. So if you're a channel member, that means you already qualified. But if you're not a channel member and you put $5 down, you could potentially win this book, because that's kind of like calling you a member today. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Right. So it's going to be there. Again, it is Omega Men 3. This book is the first appearance of Lobo, a book that is getting hot. If it's not hot already, but it's getting hot. Let's go ahead and say what's up to the people in the chat.
Wait till he shows up in a trailer.
Yo, yeah, this book is going to go. Woo! All right, we got Alex in the house. Alex is already a YouTube member, but sometimes what happens on YouTube is that they kind of don't do the charging somehow, and then you get kicked out for some weird reason. But welcome back, Alex. So since you're back, might as well give it to you. All right, there you go, Alex. Also, we got Nerdy Geek with a hello. Look, he just said hello. That's it. That's all he gets.
Well,
right?
so far,
Hello. Yeah. We got Lisa Noble with the pizza rat. I love it. I'm here to support. Thank you, Nerdy Geek. All right. What else? And yeah, I had an update. I had to update. Yeah, it happens all the time. I know it happens literally all the time. So there you have it, guys. As we go with the show, you could win this Omega Men number 3 first appearance of Lobo if you are a channel member or if you put $5 down the chat. So either one is gonna. I'll accept either or. If you're a channel member, or if you put a super chat of $5 or more, you can put more. Or if you want to gift them, you are more than welcome to gift them as well. That's fine with me. I want to move this out of the way because it's in the way. We'll talk about it a little later, right? So there it is. Okay. Oh. All right. So what is up, Rich from Comic Caps Collectible? How you doing, my man? I got some books for you, man. I got some books for next week. Well, not next week, at the end of the month, right? Super Jersey's happening. We got some stuff going on there. My friend, check this one out. So my best friend calls me up earlier today, and he tells me, "Oh, Izzy, I was looking through my boxes, and I found out I have like 10 copies of Futurama #1."
Oh, wow.
So then I tell him, "Oh, cool, that's not," and it's like, and they're Comic-Con exclusives. So the 9.8 for that book goes for $500 each.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, let's go get them slabbed. So we're gonna be getting them slabbed soon. So guys, it's gonna be a good show. So if this is the first time you are watching this version of the show, what we do here is we're gonna do a monthly breakdown of comic books that are trending. We're going to be looking at the top 10 CGC newly slabbed books. So these are the books that were sent to CGC. This is the largest amount. And finally, as for the main event, we're going to do the Chartbuster reports, where we're going to be looking at the top selling books from the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, and obviously the Modern Age. And that's all happening today. We're going to be looking at that. There are some bangers in this list, and we got to get to it, man. So without any more announcements or anything like that, let's kick this off with the top trending from March 2025. All right. So, as I always ask, look at the 5 books that are there. You don't know what order they're in, but we talked about all these books sometime during the month of March. Talk to me a little bit about what you see right now.
Well, obviously, classic first Jackal appearance is there. The Sister Imperator, I know that you have that book. That's the one based, written by the Ghost guy, the band. Mm-hmm. The Hulk is awesome cover, store exclusive or con exclusive or something. And then Berserker, we talked about that series before. I love that series. I have all of them. I think it's great. I can't wait for them to do something in TV media on it or movies. And Impact Winter is just one that I know it's a property that was bought, but I've never read that one.
Yeah, so all these books have been trending books within the month of March. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We'll start with the first one here. The first book in our list came in at number 10, and that's Daredevil 183 from 1982 from Marvel Comics. The last sale of this book was $30 at a very fine. That's also the fair market value as of today. 9.8s are going for $139. For the month of March, this book had 69 sales, and it made it to 1 week of the list. So it was in the week. It was on the list. As far as the scorecard goes, it received 46 points in total. Classic cover, obviously, because of Daredevil and Punisher really showing up in Daredevil. That's when this book got the hype, and we might see this book again in April.
Yeah, I love this cover. I actually have one copy of this, one copy of the direct of 184, and one newsie of 184, all on their way back from CGC. So I can't wait to see them.
Awesome. Yeah, I love this cover. I also like the John Romita one that he did afterwards. I don't know. I always forget the number, but there's a really cool John Romita Punisher Daredevil book that came afterwards. I always loved that book. This is one of those books that's there. As of right now, we only had one appearance of Punisher and Daredevil. I don't know when he's going to return, but I'm assuming he will.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm all caught up on that. I watched them all last night. Mm-hmm. I like them. I was 3 episodes behind, but I'm all caught up now.
Okay. All right. So there you have it. Daredevil 183. That was number 10. Let's take a look at what's number 9. That's Spawn 361. This is the WonderCon exclusive. It's the unsigned. This came out in 2025 for Image Comics. The last sale of this book was $94 near mint. Fair market value of this book is at $92. This book came out last week, so there's no recorded slabs for this book, but surprisingly had a monthly sales of 68 copies. And that since it came out last week, it was only on the list for one time. Scorecard 46.5, which puts it on number 9. We talked about the Spawn covers, and this is a WonderCon exclusive. Brett Booth did it again.
Yeah, Spawn is heating back up right now. Todd took over the writing again on 360, which is sparking some interest in that. And I've been reading them. It's good. I really enjoy it. The Spawn universe line is expanding, and Image is doing a great job with their universes. Ghost Machine, Energon, they haven't had a misstep yet, and Spawn is looking to be the same.
Yeah, Spawn's always one of those characters, especially with Todd McFarlane always going to the cons these days. He's promoting Spawn, keep Spawn in people's mouths. this book came out in WonderCon last week, and people are already picking it up. 68 sales is a lot for a book that only was at WonderCon.
Yeah.
And I see here we got a few comments that just came in. Gardner's gonna be Rod Gardner's a great guy, man. I met him a few times. I might bring in a Daredevil book here and there. It's possible. And Alex, you're planning to flip this book. Hey, if you want to flip it. I'm all good with that. I have no problem with flipping a book. It's a wraparound, so it's a great cover. I love the colors in the book, and like the other Spawn books, they seem to maintain their value. They hit a peak, of course, like any other book, but they stay in this level playing field. They don't really dip as much, and that's pretty much because of Todd.
Yeah, he just did I've watched not all of it yet, but probably about a quarter of it. He did a con panel and had one-on-one with him and Jim Lee. No interviewer, just them talking. It was really interesting, the part that I've watched. So I'll probably watch the rest of that. It's about an hour long.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't get a chance to see it, to watch it. But I do plan on watching it one day. Okay. Let's take a look at what came in number 8 for the month of March, and that was Impact Winter #1. This book was in 2022 for Image Comics. The last sale of this book was $25 near mint. The fair market value of this book is $33. Surprisingly, there are no slabs recorded as far as sales goes for this book, even though the book has been out since 2022. Monthly sales, 61 copies have sold, and this book was on the list twice in the month of March, giving it a scorecard of 49 points. Impact Winter. I don't think we're going to be seeing it on the list for April, but I do know there is a following for it because it is an audio book, and there are discussions of it being optioned for, I believe, Netflix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I don't know much about this one. It's something that, if I saw it for cheap, I'd probably see it, pick it up and see what it was all about, or flip through it at least.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is one of those ones that could be in property development for years. Who knows?
And it has there's multiple books in the series. So this is a one shot, but there are other books as well in the series. So they might end up getting some kind of momentum as well. But as of right now, I think this book is already flat. It might pop up again if the option actually does come to fruition. As of today, $25 for this book, I think it's fair. $33 might be a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at number 7, and that's Amazing Spider-Man 129. This book came out in 1973 from Marvel Comics. You ready for this? The last sale of this book was $15,000 in a 9.8. The fair market value of this book is $732 and a very good. However, 8.0s are the average, and they go for $1,803. This book also had 69 sales during the month of March, and it was on the list once. Gave it a scorecard of 49.5. It just beat out Impact Winter, and it's largely because of that fair market value.
Yeah, this one, we talk all the time in the weekly video about having patience, because as people are going to see if they watch the CGC census breakdown of all the different eras, you'll see the volumes of books that are being sent. And so this isn't a rare book, but I felt to the same thing during the pandemic. I picked this book up raw, and it was a lot of money. And it's probably, it still hasn't come up even graded to what I'm going to be paid for it. But I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I'm working my way down into the hundreds now. So the low hundreds. So I was happy to have it in my collection. I'm not upset at all. It's just, it is what it is. You got to jump in sometime.
It's a pretty expensive book, as you can see there. Very good goes for $732. If you get it graded, it's going to cost you even more. However, as far as Bronze Age books, it is one of the top Bronze Age books. It's in the top 5 alongside Incredible Hulk and other books like that. It's such a great. First of all, it's a great cover.
Yeah.
with a great character that's being introduced in the Jackal and some other guy named Frank, Frank Castle.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I love the Punisher. I think the Punisher is one of my favorite characters. He's so misunderstood in as far as the landscape of who the Punisher is and the type of character he is. I think he is a misunderstood character to a lot of people, but for me, he is awesome. I love John Bertholt's portrayal of it. But I also was a Thomas Jane fan. I did enjoy the Thomas Jane
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I did too. But I will say that I totally agree that it's misunderstood. But what John Bernthal did in the one scene he's in that Daredevil episode, like completely explains the character
Mhm.
with nothing but a few sentences that he does. It was an amazing scene.
Yeah,
in
it
my
was
opinion,
great.
anyway.
What's up, David? Hello. How you doing? Still only 35 cents. How you doing, my man? Good to see you. All right. It's time for number 6, and number 6 is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man #9. This book came out in 1977 from Marvel Comics. The last sale of this book was $43 at a very fine. Fair market value is $22 at a fine and $165 at a 9.8. Monthly sales, 69 copies were sold. And as far as the weeks goes, it was on the top 10 list twice in the month of March. Scorecard has this one at a 56.5.
Yeah, and this is again, related to Born Again Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
I love this cover. I think it's a really cool idea for a character. Hopefully, we get to see some more than what we have, given that the gem is still out there. And yeah, I was super happy to close this whole run up and get this issue. So yeah, I love this cover.
Yeah, and as a Puerto Rican, this is a book that for me I had to get because he is considered the first Puerto Rican superhero in Marvel Comics. Also, he's from the Bronx, so I'm from the Bronx, and he was created by George Perez, who was a Puerto Rican from the Bronx who went to St. Raymond's High School. So everything about it I have to have, right? Yeah. So it's like a must. I do have my copy of the book. I'm very proud to have that copy. I like White Tiger as a character. I'm looking forward to seeing if Angela takes the mantle in the TV series, because as of today, this book has, now has dwindled off into the sunset. We probably won't see this book again in the top 10 list, but the White Tiger book and the other Daredevil books have been gaining more momentum because Angela is part of the TV series.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about her portrayal in the comics, so I don't know if the amulet is going to like age her up or like change her appearance or something. But I mean, they can do anything they want. I hope they bring her in, because it would be a cool nod to Perez, and anything that brings more attention to him, I think, is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to love George Perez. Speaking of love, Alex loves Punisher. Berthold is perfect. Agree. And Lisa, that's my high school too. I didn't know he went to the boys' side. Lisa Noble, are you from the Bronx as well? St. Raymond's? Wow. And yes, George Perez went to St. Raymond's Catholic High School, the boys' side.
You can say that with the Bronx accent, though, Izzy.
I got a New Yorker accent. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's move on to number 5 in our list, and that is Berserker #1. This came out in 2021 from Boom Studios. The last sale of this book, believe it or not, was $39 at a 9.8. Fair market value of this book is $7 near mint. $43 at a 9.8 is the fair market value for a graded copy. Monthly sales, get this, 82 copies sold in the month of March, and it was on the top 10 list twice in the month of March. This scorecard gives it 57 points, and that's how I made it to number 5.
We talked about this off the top, but I really like this book. Again, we've mentioned this in the weekly video, but if you've got your little checklist going of like things that will happen to make this a reality of TV or movies. It's like, okay, written by a major star, you know, he looks like him, it's a cool character, has multiple kind of iterations. You know, if you read this series, it's really good. I loved it. They have one shots that kind of progress the story. It's a universe thing, like John Wick, can easily expand that way. The boxes are checked. I would definitely buy this if I saw it at a con for $40 in a 9.8. Like, I would buy 2 or 3 of them.
Well, the whole point behind it, right, has to deal with there's a lot of copies. Yeah. There's just a lot of copies of this book. This book had a high print run, therefore it's extremely affordable. However, there are some variants that are demanding some big bucks. Those are the books that are really expensive, and those are the books that people are hunting for. As far as this one goes, this is a very affordable book. I do agree it's going to have lasting potential, but I'm going to say it's going to have lasting potential in the same way Spawn #1 does, where people want it and people are going to love it, but no one's going to cough up serious money for that book because there's so many in existence. And that's the same with Berserker #1.
Sorry, there was a lot of hype around this book when it was coming out. Like Lisa said in the comments there, it's true. I remember when this was coming out, and you know, it was kind of just at the beginning of all these crazy variant covers, and it had a lot of them. But the idea inside is sound and the art is good, so it does have a few other things going for it as well, like you said.
All right, just like Alex says, Berserker is a great buy and a spec book if you don't already have it. And everyone went hard on that book expecting a movie or a show. And it's true. People do expect a movie or a show to come out of this because it's Keanu Reeves. The character looks like Keanu Reeves. He's created it to make it look like a movie. And that's part of the why it feels the way it is. And that's why people are going crazy. Also, we got Joffrey Castro in the house. What's going on, Joffrey? All right, good seeing you. Let's take a look at number 4. And that's Secret Wars #2 that came out 2015 from Marvel Comics. The last sale of this book was $12 near mint. Fair market value of this book is $19 near mint, while 9.8s are going for $101. As far as monthly sales go, 75 copies were sold in the month of March, and it made it to the top 10 list twice. On the scorecard, this one got 58.5, which puts it at number 4. It's all about God Emperor Doom.
Yep. And a chair video.
And chairs. Yes, chairs.
Don't forget the chairs.
Don't forget chair watch.
So I picked up the trade of this, the soft cover trade, and I highly recommend that people do that. This is a great story with awesome art. Like, it's a limited series, so you get it all bundled into one. And yeah, maybe this is the way it goes, but this is another one that you file under. Anything is on the table right now with Doom and Downey. I think we are hedging closer to, like, with the announcement of the original X-Men being in it, where they're going to have a big scene at the beginning and all be killed off. And that's my opinion.
Anyway. Oh yeah, I think they'll be killed off. I honestly do believe it.
A huge sacrifice.
Fortunately, right. Unless they get killed off in the next movie, but something big has to transpire in this movie, right? So that's something that's important that I think has to happen in order to move to the Secret Wars movie. So Doomsday is coming. It has to live up to the name, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, so 100%. And we saw that in the weekly show with Secret Wars 12, that cover heating up, because it's got the Mike Zeck cover with Doom all distressed. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Isn't that Secret Wars 10? That's 10.
Oh, maybe it is 10, yeah.
Yeah, it's 10. Sorry. All right. So that's number 4. Let's take a look at what came in number 3. Invincible Returns. This book came out in 2010 for Image Comics. The last sale of this book was $60 near mint. Fair market value of this book, $62 near mint, while 9.8s are going for about $229. As far as monthly sales goes, 53 copies were sold. And this is the one book out of this whole list that made it to the list 3 times in the month of March. The scorecard gave it 59 points, which made it number 3.
So we finished watching season 3. We're rewatching all of it, and it's just amazing how great this is written in the TV show anyway, so which I'm sure is very similar to the comic. And I envy right now anybody that actually picked up these issues when they came out. Like, I'm very jealous of the person that has those, because they're low print run, super scarce books, and this property is just going to grow. Like with Battle Beast coming out, I was saying to my daughter today that I'll be shocked if they don't do like an Allen comic after this Battle Beast one.
I agree. I think, like Walking Dead, because we're talking about Robert Kirkman books, like Walking Dead, when it first came out, no one really picked up the books, but it started gaining some kind of momentum. I think with Invincible, it took even longer than Walking Dead, because it was just another superhero comic and no one really cares for it, right? But as Robert Kirkman just started world building and really giving us a superhero story, but with an adult version superhero story without getting rid of the element of being a superhero story, but it's adult, not in the same way as a Watchmen or anything like that. It was just, it's written for grown-ups. Yeah. And it, you know what I mean? It's like it's a serious story. You have the violence there, but it's still at its heart a superhero story, and it's a modern age superhero story with a lot of the topics that are part of it. Invincible, to me, might very well be one of the very last classic superhero comics, because there's nothing after it that's even remotely close to classic Silver Age, Bronze Age style superhero stories. And Invincible just seems to be that last iconic character. So kudos to Robert Kirkman, kudos to Ryan Ottley, kudos to everybody involved in Invincible. And like you said, all these books demand top dollar. Invincible Returns came out in 2010, so there was already a hype train behind it. That's why there's more copies of this one. But still, for $60 for a book that's 15 years old, it's not bad.
This is one of those series that when I go to a Comic-Con, you don't see them. There's not like a long box of Invincible books that they have there that you can buy, because they're on the wall, usually graded. They don't have these books raw because they're too scarce and they'd be too much.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at what came in number 2. We talked about it. Sister Imperator, right? Imperator?
Yep.
Number 1. This book just came out in 2025 for Dark Horse Comics. The last sale of this book's at $11 near mint. Fair market value of this book is at $14 near mint. There are no recorded slab sales. However, they are starting to trickle in a little bit here and there. Monthly sales of this book, 141 copies were sold, and this was in the list twice. As far as a scorecard, it came in with 64 points, which puts it at number 2.
That's amazing. Those sales are, I can't even believe it. Have you looked inside this book? Like, what is it?
You know what's funny? I didn't. I just bought it and just put it away. Never thought about it.
Well, you should sell that. You should send it to get graded. You could be the first one.
I think it's good. I think it's dying down now.
Yeah,
because $11 isn't that much for this book, right?
No.
So for those of you who don't know, it's written by one of the members of the metal band Ghost. And Ghost has a following, of course. And with that following, a lot of people did purchase the book knowing that this member, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if he's a singer, the bassist, or whatever. But he wrote the book. So being that he wrote the book, people want to have it. It's the same effect as Gerard Way with Umbrella Academy had. So it has that same rock star did this book. I want this book. So I want to have the rock star book.
Yeah. Tobias Forge is the writer. He's the singer. He's
He's
the
the singer. Okay,
yeah.
there you have it. Thank you. But that came in number 2. Ready for number 1?
Let's see it.
Do you have an idea what it could be? We did see it.
Do you remember which one I haven't seen yet? No, I don't remember. Oh, it'll be the Doom book.
Number 1 is Red Hulk number 1 for PGX Previews exclusive. This book came out in 2025 from Marvel Comics. The last sale of this book was at a no. I do have the correct numbers. So give me 1 second. Son of a gun. No, I thought I was doing so well.
Oh, that's good.
No, I do have the right numbers. Okay, there we go. Now the right numbers here. Okay, rewind. The points are right. Okay, the last recorded sale of this book was at $60 near mint. The fair market value of this book is at $57 near mint. There are slabs that are being sold, and the average is $126. Get ready for this. Monthly sales, 159 copies were sold. As far as the weeks in the list, twice on this list, and this book came in with 71.5 points, making it the number 1 book of March.
That is a lot of sales for probably what I think the PGX previews are usually 1,500 or 3,000 copies. So that's a lot of sales for that kind of relatively small print run. But it is an awesome cover. It looks great.
I totally agree with you on that one, because it is something that, you know, it stands out. The value of this book, the cover in itself is just tremendous. You know what I mean? I'm just mad I didn't fix this screen.
I'd buy it for $15, that's for sure. Like if I see this, so the con in my area is coming up at the end of May, so it's not that far away.
Yeah. How did I miss this one?
Yeah, if I saw it, I'd buy it for sure.
How did I miss this one? Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Now we'll fix this. Let me save this as. See, guys, you see what happens all day. I was like, oh yeah, I did this. It's all good to go. It's all ready to go. It was all ready to go. We didn't even bother looking at it. That was probably it. That we didn't bother to look at them. We goofed ourselves here. So let's see. Let me do that. I'm gonna replace it. Okay, that's that. So I can close that out. Guys, I'm gonna remove this. All right, so let's get this out. Because we're gonna do this again. We're gonna rewind and start this again. Because that's just how we gotta do this. And hopefully we don't find a new era in the process. Now I'm worried about the other ones. Let's see. Let's upload it here. Is that the one? Yep, that's the one. Okay, let's see here. It's coming, guys. It's coming. I'm just happy. I wonder if the PDX are sold so well because people thought there might be any. You know what? That is a good question, Charles. And thanks for stopping by in the channel. Let's see here.
That's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, and that could be true, because I remember having that talk with people in the store. Like, is this the last time this book is coming up here? The previews book.
Yeah. So let's start this all over again. Let's begin as if we didn't do this. So when we do the recording, we could just go back, right? At number 1, Red Hulk number 1, the PX Previews exclusive. This book came out in 2025 from Marvel Comics. Last sale of this book was at $60 near mint. Fair market value of this book is at $57 near mint, with $126 for 9.8. Monthly sales, 159 copies were sold in the month of March. 2 weeks on the list, 71.5 points, which makes this the number 1 book of the month of March. We did it. There it is. So there's a lot of factors in play here, right? Factor number 1, Dr. Doom is hot. Factor number 2, Red Hulk was also hot during this time. Factor number 3, it is an exclusive variant from previews. And factor number four, right? I said 3, 4. Now number 4, it's because it's a great cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I do really like this cover. This goes right up there with the Wolverine Hulk cover, just that kind of interplay with having the two characters on the cover at once. Just it's a cool idea. And it's well done. Like Doom's eyes look great.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job. Joshua Casaria, who's the artist, did a tremendous job. He somehow made it work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to make this work.
Yeah.
But he made it work. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. Those were the top 10 trending comics for the month of March of 2025. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you have any of these books, man? If you do, I hope you have Amazing Spider-Man 129. That's what I really want to know. Peter Parker Spectacular #9 is also one of those books that I personally love. I have my copy. What a list, man. Seriously, I love the fact that it came out the way it did. Good stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. It's cool to see the sales numbers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the sales number is pretty much what really puts them on top, right? With 159 copies of that Red Hulk. That's impressive for a book that's an exclusive.
Yeah.
That's very impressive. And just to let you know, it was #1 on week 1 and on week 2 of the month. So that's also puts it on top of the list. So that's great stuff there. Okay.
Yeah.
So just as a reminder for everybody, we are going to give away, let me show it again, this Omega Men 3 to anyone who is a channel member. So if you're a channel member, you're going to be part of today's giveaway. Also, to qualify for the giveaway, you could also either become a channel member today, and I'll put you in for the running, or you could leave a super chat of $5 or more, and that will automatically put you into the running to win Omega Men #3. This is a book I picked up at Elite Comics, so I'm really happy for it. I'm gonna give it with the casing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. It'll help protect it in shipping anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna stay with the comic capsule, so it's gonna go away today. Or I'll give you the option if you want me to slab it. That's a possibility. It's actually a pretty good copy. So that's happening today. All right. What's our next subject? Oh, yeah, we're going to take a look at what's been slabbed. So we're going to look at the top 10 CGC submissions for the month of March 2025. Starting right now. And just like that, we have ourselves a new Rat Pack member, Charles LePage from Comic List. Thank you so much. We got to welcome you into the pack. So let's welcome him the same way we welcome him to the Rat Pack. You had me at possible free comic. Well, if you spend the $5 and you win, just like Alex last month did, right? Because Alex did get a nice little prize pack. So it's definitely worth it. Thank you so much, Charles. I really appreciate it. All right. Let's back to the focus here. We're going to be talking a little bit about the top CGC submissions. These are the newly slabbed books. I gathered this information utilizing Go Collect as well as CGC data, where they give you the total numbers. Now, one of the things I do with this list is I eliminate anything that a retailer sends. So a lot of times retailers send like 300 books at a time from their retailers exclusives. So one of those things, I like to remove them from these packs. And there was at least 2 of them in it. There was like Rup's Verse, and there was believe it or not, there was a Tyler Curtin Battle Beast book that was sent already out, which is a book that hasn't even come out yet, and it's already been submitted. So they've been sitting there waiting to be sold. So I get rid of those. what I try to do is I do my best to grab the books that most people submit. And that's what this list is. You're gonna see that, and you know what I see? I see Lisa Noble. She has came in, and somehow it's not. It's look at that. Her name's being blocked. She get $5. Thank you so much, Lisa. I do believe your name is on the list already, but I appreciate the $5. So you're already part of the giveaway already. But you know what, Lisa? We got to give her a thank you as well. And thank you for supporting the rat packing. That's what we call this, rat packing. All right. Where was I? Ready to do the top 10?
Ready.
Let's do this. Starting with number 10, Amazing Spider-Man 300. This book came out in 1988 from Marvel Comics. As of today, there's 38,452 copies, as opposed to last month where there was 38,228. That's an increase of 224 new books that were submitted and graded. That is a 0.06% increase.
You know what?
That's rare, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a bunch of things, and we'll talk about as we go through this. But what immediately hits me is what I'd love to see, and I'm sure they don't want to do it because of, they don't want competition and all that stuff. But just imagine at CGC, like, you can get an idea of the scope of the operation there when you look at just one book, 224 of them in a month. And yeah, I have, so in March, part of these numbers are some of my books. I have 50 books there that went through the system in March. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I have any on this list.
It's a possibility. If it's a real common book, it probably is. But this is the first, what we called the first full appearance of Venom. $2.90. Todd McFarlane says $2.99 is the first full appearance, but this is his first as part of the actual story.
Yeah, modern day Grail for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Spider-Man fan, and you grew up around when he branched off and did Spider-Man. Like, you're going back, and your Amazing Spider-Man run starts at $2.98.
Mm-hmm.
And this book is like this is the one you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an iconic cover. It has been homaged like crazy. It probably is the most homage cover. It'll be nice to go back to see how many books have been homaged. And this book came out in 88, and there's so many other books that came before it that have been homaged, but yet there's something about this cover, something about that pose, something about even the 300s, because they never did it for any other book, really. They never did it for Avengers. They never did it for what other X-Men. They never had this number thing come. So there's something special about that. And it's Todd McFarlane.
Yeah. And
that's it. What can I say?
Being around when this came out, I mean, it's been said before, but like experiencing it firsthand, going from how Spider-Man was to the McFarlane age, it was a complete turnaround. I don't think that you really see much like that in comics anymore. Like every detail, especially like the webs, there was so much talk about the webs. And this is like obviously like pre-internet.
Mm-hmm.
You'd come into the shop and like the covers were like, they drew you to the book. The sales went up. Like, obviously they let Todd do whatever he wanted because the sales were so good after.
They complained to him though.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that they did complain to him, and he just said, well, I'm the top selling books. Who cares?
Yeah. Good. I'm happy he did that. We need a renaissance like this now again in ASM, because I mean, Tom Brevoort, the Marvel editor, is saying if you don't like it, don't buy it, which is horrible.
Why would anybody say that? I don't get that kind of attitude. And I wonder if he gets reprimanded for it too. You get what I'm saying?
I hope so, because I'm going to take him at his word. Like, I'm going to get Amazing Spider-Man #1, and I'm going to see what it is. But if it's the same stuff, then I'm calling it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll shoot him a little message and say, "Wish granted, not buying anymore."
Mm.
And it
Well,
hurts me to do that, Izzy. It
yeah.
hurts me.
I'm sorry. I love me my Spider-Man, and I hope it's we go through the goods, we go through the bad. It's just like a marriage, right? For
Yeah.
better or for worse.
If they acknowledge that, I would be fine with it. If they acknowledge that, hey, you know what? This is our mainstay character. We're going to have peaks and valleys, and we're going to have good parts of the story. You're not dumping on any of the creators. You're just acknowledging that it's life. And
Mhm.
but to instead say, if you don't like it, don't read it. We're not going to do what you want. We're not going to give you Mary Jane and Peter. We're just going to keep doing this. Like, it's not the way to go
It
about
is
it.
a shame. That's how, again, that's not how you should handle the business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the CGC submissions. Number 10, Amazing Spider-Man 300. At number 9, we have, let's get this clicker right. The other guy, Venom, Lethal Protector #1, 1993 Marvel Comics. 24,516 copies are now part of the census, as opposed to 24,275. That is an increase of 241 new copies. That is a 1.0% increase in copies of this book. Another book that has so many copies, but it's such an iconic cover.
Yeah. Again, talking about the whole patience piece. Obviously, lots of them out there. There is some weird like misprints and stuff like that. But this is another classic wall book. It looks great in the slab. It's got that awesome cover, kind of really early, kind of 80s, 90s foil style stuff.
Mhm.
So you can see why so many people submit it. And I have one. I love it. Yeah, I love this book.
So unlike the Spider-Man book, Spider-Man 300, the cost of it by itself, we're talking about $500, $800, $1,000, depending on the grade you get, right? And you see how many slabs exist of a book. Meanwhile, this one doesn't have the same number. Like we saw ASM 300 has over 30,000 slabs. This has almost, we're going to hit 25,000 probably by the end of the year with this one. If it keeps going with the momentum, right? We're going to definitely hit that 25,000. But yet this one, you could probably pick this up at an easy $50.
Yeah.
You might be able to pick up a 9.8 at a probably under $100. So what makes this one so much different than ASM? I get it, the first appearance of Venom and things like that, but if ASM 300 has so many copies in the census, how come that book is so costly in comparison to this one?
Yeah, and I think it's really just the demand is there to it's a the price dictates it. So even though there's probably equal print run, I'm going to say, of these two books, because Venom was huge at that time. So they printed a ton of these books.
Yeah. I'll say this one might actually have more of a print run than 300, but still ASM is ASM.
Yeah.
So it has to have a high print run.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and it's interesting. It's just, it goes from, a first solo appearance versus a first appearance.
Yeah. Yeah, and this book is just his first solo series. It's not a first appearance. It's not a key of that way. It's only a key because it's a #1 and it's his first solo issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is a weird thing, to say the least, because of that whole, what justifies this dollar amount versus this dollar amount? Like, what's the justification there? And obviously demand is the big part of it, but if there's plenty of copies to go around, there's plenty of copies to go around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 9, Lethal Protector, Venom, Lethal Protector #1. At number 8, talking about ASM, Amazing Spider-Man 252. This book came out in 1984 from Marvel Comics. Currently, there's 25,430 copies from 25,178. That is an increase of 252 copies. That is a 1% increase from last month. Another one. Similar count than Venom. Much more costly.
Yeah, and again, you're an amazing Spider-Man collector. You either have this or you want this.
But I think that's part of it, right? It's this want, right, that you have to have for it. Like one of the things, so I'm doing the cover price video, and the information's already out if you wanted to go to cover price to see it. But if you go into cover price and you take a look at the book that was hot last year, it was X-Men 200, which is where Magneto changed his costume, right? Minor key, but he gets the nice big giant M and the low cape there, the purple color. The demand for that book was only there because of X-Men 97.
Right.
Right. So a costume change doesn't really do anything unless it's Spider-Man's costume change.
Yeah. And again, at the time, like buying these as they came out, you never ever thought in your mind, because there was no multiverse, there was no Spider-Verse, there was none of that stuff at this point. Spider-Man was blue and red. That was his thing. You might have changed how big the eyes were or whatever, or if you saw the ears or not, but
webbing underneath,
the webbing underneath. But to go to a different costume, like go to the all black, there's just something about it. It just was immediately, and I think I'm not alone in this thinking this, but it's like, wow, that is awesome. And that boils over into people wanting to have this in their collection, I think. And classic homage to AF-15, so you can't go wrong with that either.
Yeah. So it homages AF-15. It gives us a new costume. But what's even more interesting about it, Spider-Man's costume, for many people, is considered to be the greatest costume in comics, right? There's been studies, and people say that his costume outperforms anybody else because it gives you that feeling of a spider.
Yeah.
So when the word got out that his costume was going to be changed, it did cause an uproar back in '84. People were upset. People were angry. They started sending letters. They immediately were thinking about, it's only going to be like an issue or two, and then we're going to go back to red and blue, right? But then when it came out, people just loved it. And I remember as a kid seeing this costume, knowing, first of all, I immediately knew it was still Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah.
One thing that when it was designed, the designer still kept you knowing it was Spider-Man. Even though it's pretty much the only thing that's the same is that he has the same shape for his eyes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's the same. The large white spider, the black costume, there was something about it that just made it work. And dare I say it, it is a perfect costume, just as much as the red and blue.
I know. I was just going to say, I totally agree with what you said at the beginning, where Spider-Man's costume is one of the most iconic ones. And not only did they do it once, they did it twice. Like they did it with the original and with this one. Mm-hmm. And again, you're right. 100%. You look at it, that's Spider-Man. You could put it in front of anybody and say, what do you think this character's name is? And they're going to say Spider-Man.
And no other character could do it. I cannot think of another character that did it. The only other character that had a costume change and people liked it was Wolverine's. But it really was just the same costume, only just recolored.
Yeah, and Wolverine, that's a good counterpoint, because you look at that one and his changed more. And there was iconic stages for sure, and you can obviously see them all, but it wasn't as big of a deal when it changed to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't. It was just the color change.
Yeah,
they just changed the colors of the pretty much the same costume. Yeah, there was a little aesthetics that were a little different, but it's the same costume.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8, Amazing Spider-Man 252. Let's take a look at what's number 7. Here we go. Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 8. This book also came out in 1984 from Marvel Comics. 33,156 copies are now part of the census, as opposed to 32,850. That is an increase of 306 new books that were added. That is a 0.9% increase from the previous month. Let's talk more about this book rather than the costume, since we spent some time on the costume. This book came in several months after 252. Which one of the two would you say is more important?
I got to go with this one.
Okay.
Because this is how everything is explained, and you see where it comes from, and you even right away, it's just so well done because it's a mystery. Like you don't know anything about it. Like he just thinks it's a, Thor says, "Hey, go over here," and it gives you a uniform, and the goo, the glob just goes on him and forms around him, and forms this spider and everything. Like, but you don't know why or how or what it is or anything. I just think this is definitely a keeper. I would put it higher than the other one.
Now, here's something to take note. We looked at the top 10, right? And in looking at the top 10, one of the things that they all have in common, we looked at 4 books. All 4 books have one thing in common. What do you think? It's not that hard. It really isn't. But they all have one thing in common.
They're all orange?
They're all the black suit.
Oh, that's true.
All of them. Whether it's in this format or in Venom,
right?
It's the same black suit. So what is that telling me is that there's a large Spidey base fan. There's a large Spiders fan base. No denying that, of course. But what there is a bigger black suit fan base.
Yeah,
that's out there.
Well, I think I said this on Wednesday. Like, to me, the perfect Spider-Man 4 movie is basically a horror style movie of the journey from Spider-Man to the black costume to Venom kind of messing with his life. And, that whole collapse of, because Venom knows everything about him. And so Eddie Brock knows everything about him. I just think would be a great thing to see on the screen. And yeah, I agree. People love the black costume, and I'm one of them. I think it's awesome.
All right. Awesome. All right. We got Chris the Comic Vet. What's going on, Chris? How you doing, my man? All right. We're going to move away from the black suit for number 6.
Are you sure?
You'll see in a second. There's still some kind of relationship. Because number 6, Spawn number 1, came out in 1992 for Image Comics. 35,701 copies are now part of the census. That is a difference of 35,354 copies. That is an increase of 347 new books that were added. That is a 1% increase. We're no longer in Spider-Man, but but here's the Todd McFarlane train right there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, now all the books have one thing in common still. Todd McFarlane.
Well, the other ones, the black suit is not he's involved in the process of the black suit, but he had nothing to do with Secret Wars or 252.
Yeah.
But all the other books,
though, that part of the chart. Okay, that's a tough question. If there's no Venom created, and it's just a black suit that is a parasite, and he goes to Mr. Fantastic and they remove it, is the black suit still as iconic today?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Is the book going to be as important? No.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think in the costume, obviously, people love the costume. People enjoyed. They saw it. They enjoyed it. They thought it was awesome. We would have probably seen the costume constantly return back and forth here and there, which it still does even today. It keeps coming back, right?
Hmm.
However, its importance to the lore is only going to be a costume change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the story around the costume is important, but the after effects of the costume, which led to Venom, which led to Carnage, which led to Anti Venom, which led to Mary Jane Spawn.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
I had to throw that in there.
Yeah. But back to Spawn, though, like, again, talking about Invincible, this is another run that, the first issues, there's some ones in there that are expensive, but it's the ones that get, post like 170, where
Yeah.
there's the paper shortage was there for them, and those print runs are really small. And I think the only thing, ironically, keeping this series from being as iconic in a way is that it's still going on. It's not a finite number of issues like Invincible is, where people are like, wow, those are rare. This one's still happening, but it has the benefit of being able to continue in a new universe. And like we talked about with the Brett Booth cover, it's still desirable and it's still a good read.
Yeah. And with this one, with all the copies that exist, of course I could see a high number. So to get this book, if you get this in a slab, then it's going to be fine. You're not gonna. I don't think you should spend more than $100 on a slab for this one. And $100 might be too much too, in my opinion. I think it's more of a $60 slab because the book in itself is about $20 to $25. On a good day, it's 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, depending on the book, if it's a newsy or if it's the misprint, that's obviously changes everything with the book. But the core book, the actual direct market book, that is something that it's people want to have it because it's a part, believe it or not, it's a part of history.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't have a 9.8 of this. I do have the newsstand one, which will be getting graded, but I would pick up a 9.8 of this just to have a 9.8.
Yeah.
Put it up somewhere, keep it.
Absolutely. All right. So let's take a look here. Back to the comment event. Remember, Reed couldn't remove it. The church bells did. That's right. Hell's bells.
That's right.
Alex, I had to buy it. Spawn #1. Well, you know what? I have a copy and I actually want to buy a new one because my copy is a little beat up. I'm going to eventually buy it. I just don't want to overpay for it. JSS Brooklyn, what's going on, my man? And thank you for the chat, the super chat for today. So with that said, we got to give him a thank you, right? All right, JSS, he's already part of the giveaway for today. We're gonna be giving this Omega Men 3 as a thank you to everybody. Let's see here. Say a 9.8 slab you need to own. I'm thinking about going as far as getting a raw and trying to see if I could get a 9.8 on it. Or you think it's just worth buying a 9.8?
Well, I mean, you're in the States. It's a lot easier for you to, when you don't have to worry about shipping, to buy a few of them and send them and hope for a 9.8. Whereas up here in the Canada, it's a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit more because it's just so difficult with the shipping and the border to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I like to have it in my hand at a con and just go, I've got it. I'm going to take it with me. Yeah. So I would do that. I do like that the search for the 9.8 though. That is fun.
Yeah. That's number 6. Let's take a look at what's number 5. Deadpool Wolverine #1. This book came out in 2025 from Marvel Comics. Currently, there's 478 copies, as opposed to last month where there was 386. That is an increase of 92 books. But here's what's even crazier. That is also an increase of 419.6%.
Oh my God.
What is it about this book?
I don't know. This has got to be carryover from the movie. I mean, I really like that cover. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
But this book, like, this is going to be a $40 slab.
It's not an expensive book.
No, it's you're going to be case cost on this. And, you know, is it like a wall book though? Like, it's good, but
I don't think so.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure with this one. And
I don't. My personal opinion of this book is more on the lines of there was a movie, people send it out, and that was it.
Yeah, and that's a lot. I mean, I don't even remember. I remember there was a little bit of hype around this series, but
nothing too seriously though.
386. Maybe it's some kind of retailer that sent all those in or something like that.
But it's an odd number. So being that it's an odd number, usually when it's a retailer, you have like 300 copies or 200 or something along those lines.
Yeah.
The movie had something to do with it, but Wolverine #1, Deadpool, New Mutants 98, where this one is just like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's strange. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if, like, month over month, we see this book continue to be sent. I don't think we do.
Yeah. Hopefully, it was in the list last month, so it's in the list again. Maybe it's a rollover from last month's numbers.
Yeah.
It could have come in the middle of the month, in the end of the month, and then they rolled over to this month. So it could be part of that same pack. It's just it was graded in March, and the other ones were graded in February. And I think that's more likely to have been the case here, but who knows? All right, let's take a look at #4. #4, Absolute Batman #1. This came out in 2024 for DC Comics. Oh, look, I got a typo. Not even a typo, it's just it's off. So Absolute Batman, 2,193 are what's out there now from 1,805. That is an increase of 388 copies, 21.5% increase. Talk to me. I see your head spinning.
Oh my God, Izzy, look at these numbers. I can't even like we knew this. We talked about this in the weekly show when this book was coming out. And no 9.8s, no 9.8s. We both said this book is going to be sent in huge numbers to CGC, and where is it? There we go. It's right there.
400,000 copies? It had to.
I don't know. Like, I don't see this being more than ever being more than $100 slab.
Mm-hmm. You might be right. You might be right because it is a high print count.
We were talking, I was talking online with somebody, and I'm just trying to remember the exact name, but they showed me a promo picture. It was a poster that was folded out, so it must have been in a book. And it was all of the Absolute characters together, and it was, Justice something.
Yeah.
It wasn't Justice League, but it was insinuating that, there's going to be, obviously, we all know that eventually they're going to come together as a team. And the name was really good. And that maybe that creates more value for this book being the first Absolute book. But I don't know, Izzy, that is a lot of 9.8s to put on the market. And that most of those, like that said in the comments, that it's just going to be sales. Like, they're not keeping them.
Yeah, but it's also a book that I'm going to send my copy in because I want to have it slabbed. right? Because there is some. It's kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man #1, the original Ultimate Spider-Man #1, and the last one too. Now that I'm thinking about it, there is some value to that
Mhm.
in a personal level.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Maybe not value in a collector's market, but
Yeah.
to a person that says, "Hey, this is the first absolute book," I might want that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
and I have 2 or 3 copies of this, but going back to our talk about, slabbing it or buying it slabbed, this is one
Mhm.
that I would just buy, skip the headache of is it going to come back a 9.6 or lower, you know, pick
Just
up
buy it
that.
right out front.
Yeah. The only thing you could hope for by sending it yourself is to really screen the copy well and
Mhm.
hope for that 9.9 or higher,
Yeah,
which we all know regular people are not getting 9.9s very often. If
that
unless
is
you're a
true.
retailer, which is sad, we could talk all night about CGC and stuff like that, but that's just the reality. Little
Mhm.
old me sending in books is not going to get a 9.9, I don't think.
You don't think so? So it's a flipper book and just a what if book.
Yeah.
Just a what if book. All right, let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles X Naruto. Really, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto. This book came out in 2024 for IDW. 517 copies in the census today, as opposed to last month being 98 copies. There's an increase of 419 copies. That is a 427.6% increase. We talked about this book when we look back at top 10 books, and we talked about this book in 30, 60, 90. We look at this book today. Of course, it has to show up sooner or later.
Yeah. This is another one that I think we both talked about that we would start to see it trickle in.
Mhm.
And obviously that's happened. I don't think this book really has a lot of staying power. It's kind of more nostalgic.
Mhm.
Um, but who knows?
It's a
I don't
team up
know.
book. It's a popular. Obviously, the turtles are popular, but so is Naruto. Naruto is really big in the anime community, so you have some stuff there. Obviously, manga fans will love it. Um, it's a crossover event. It's the first of its kind. So of course, a lot of copies are going to be submitted when it comes out, and that's exactly what happened here. They got submitted, they got graded, they got sent out, they got numbered.
Yeah.
Mhm. Right. So probably next month we won't see it in the list like we see some of these other books that we constantly see.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think it'll be saturated at that point.
yeah. Our next book here is another book that we talked about before, and we knew it was going to happen. Number 2, Ultimate Wolverine #1. This book came out in 2025 from Marvel Comics. 463 copies now exist in the CGC census, as opposed to 33 copies 30 days ago. That's an increase of 430 copies. And get this, the percentage is 1,303% increase. Wow, what an increase.
Yeah. And we've talked about this as well as far back as before this book came out. And, after its release, just kind of it's a little bit of a mystery to me how this hasn't caught on more. But this is another one that, as Chris said in the comments, this is like a what if. The Ultimate Universe is another what if universe.
It's an
And
Elseworlds. That's what I call it. It's an Elseworlds more than anything.
yeah, and then until we see what happens in the final kind of, implosion between these two universes, um, the value to me is kind of up in the air at that point. If they pull one of these characters and they come into the main universe like they do sometimes, we'll see. But other than that, again, this is a cool book, but it won't, because of the print volume, I don't see this ever being more than $100 slab either.
So the only way we could compare this to is we could compare it to the 2000s, the original Ultimate line. And if we look back at the original Ultimate line, what were the top books then? It was Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men. Then we ended up getting the Ultimates, which was really the Ultimate Avengers. I don't know why they decided to call them the Ultimates. I don't know. And then we ended up getting more of the secondary books. No one talks about those books.
No.
The only book that really has stood the test of time, and even for a little bit, not for that much, is Ultimate Spider-Man, the original Ultimate Spider-Man, the Bendis Bagley run that exists. And that book is not expensive now. It's a very affordable book. You could easily pick it up, probably under $100. And now, and you look at the other Ultimate books, none of them have value. The only book that is in an Ultimate line that has value is Ultimate Fallout, but that's because of Miles, and that's really the only thing. And Miles has been a character that's just transcended. He's moved past everybody else. He's part of the main continuity now. He's an iconic character now.
Oh,
But
yeah, 100% agree.
he
And
wasn't part of that original run.
yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. And, you know, and you recently picked up what I think are super affordable books that are key for this Ultimate universe. And you found them in like the
Dollar bin books. I bought them. The first mention of the Maker and the first cover of the Maker. I have Ultimate Fantastic Four already, but I guarantee you, those are the ones that people are going to hunt for when the time comes.
Yeah, and I agree, and those are on my list to be searching for as well, because I'm definitely picking them up. But yeah.
So let's take a look here. This book is actually interesting to me as a vintage collector because of Naruto. Awesome. Yeah, the Ultimate line will eventually die off. Agree, it's just a pile for a pile. Ultimate Fallout 4 is a king, and I think that's an outlier, really. Ultimate Fallout is an outlier. Miles prices have dropped so much. They have, but be on the lookout. They will pick up. It's gonna pick up. Vet, no. Don't fall into the trap. Izzy and I fight about all this all the time. That's funny. So I liked story-wise, I like the Ultimate Wolverine storyline, where it's going. The mystery we're back to Wolverine being mysterious. I love about the character. That we lost from the main continuity. So I'm happy to see that we're going back to kind of like his real roots as being this mysterious character.
Yeah,
Ready?
totally agree.
The number one submitted book for the month of March is X-Men #1. This book came out in 1991 from Marvel Comics. There's currently 24,516 copies of the book from 24,059. That is an increase of 451 copies. That is an increase of 1.9%.
So I'm going to go on record right now, Izzy, and say, one, obviously, that's crazy. And C, I would actually buy all of them in 9/8. So I understand why people are selling them. If I go to a convention and I could get, I think there's like 5 main covers, right?
There's 4, and then there's the wraparound. So there's 5 total books.
If I could get all of them and get them for like $400 or something like that for all 5 covers in 9/8, I would do it. It's an iconic book. I'm not going to pay an absurd amount of money to do that, that's for sure. But it would be nice. I have them all raw. But again, I wouldn't take the chance of submitting them. But look at the numbers of that. Like, just think about it. In 1 month, like, the comic community is a great community, but it's not huge. You know, it's compared to, like, fixing your cars and stuff like that. 454 people decided to package up this book and send it to CGC to get graded. To me, that's just amazing.
Here's something funny. X-Men #1 still holds the record as the highest selling comic book of all time with 8.1 million copies. Right? However, there's only 24,000 copies in the census. Meanwhile, Spawn has over 35,000 copies. Secret Wars has over 33,000 copies. What's up with that number? So
yeah, that's crazy.
And ASM 300 has 38,000 copies. But yet, the comic book that has the most amount of books in existence only has 24,000 copies.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to the point we're talking about all the time, is even though that ratio, if you did the math on the percentage, it's not scarce. Like I can be patient. I can wait. Somebody somewhere is selling all of these copies in 9.8, and eventually it'll be a reasonable price, because this is one of those books with 8.1 million copies sold. This book is not going to be like a $500 book.
It'll never be a $500 book.
Ever.
Never.
No.
Never. Even the special edition wraparound is not going to be a $500 book.
Yeah.
These books, at most, you're going to pay $50, $60. There might be some people that'll spend a little bit more for it just because they want to have a 9.8. Even the 9.9s are not that expensive. There are 9.9s of this book. They're not as expensive.
Yeah, and this is not a book that you play the 9.9 game with if you're a retail or you're somebody sending 25 copies at a time. It's not worth the effort to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Right. Jay knows the way. 24,516 copies. Good luck on ever being worth more than $25. Fascinating. The problem with that many copies is anything but a 9.8 is worthless. So you go, if you grade it and it gets a 9.6, worthless. Why take the risk? That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
That is actually a really excellent point. If it's anything less than a 9.8, then it's worthless.
Oh, yeah, and it's a huge risk, and even look at all these high volume books, that are high print run. So go back to Spawn, X-Men. We talked about the Venom book. Those high print run books that don't have a high value, like a 9.6 of ASM 300 is still worth money, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But those other three, the Spawn, the Venom, and this, if you took the time to send this in and it comes back a 9.6, I mean, what do you do with that then? Because now it's
you wait for Jim Lee and Chris Claremont to sign the book.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only reason why you will get this graded.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because you could get both of them. You could get Jim Lee. You could get Chris Claremont.
Yep.
You could get Scott Williams to sign it. It could be triple signed. And that's when the book becomes somewhat valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So that's the list for today. Tell me, did you send any of these books to get graded? Are we counting books that you send out? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. What a great list. I love going over this list. It's such a fun list. And I'll see you at the next one, which we're going to move away from this one here. That's such a fun list, man. And just like JSSA, it is a paperweight.
Yeah.
It's still a nice display item. That's the benefit, that it is a Jim Lee cover, so it does look nice. But to your point, getting 4 9.8s and just lining them up in a wall, totally worth it.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, and I love that list because it calms my nerves. It calms me down because I can look and see, oh, there's 24,000 copies graded. Okay, I don't have to spend that extra money. I'm going to be quoting these numbers when I go to cons. Be like, you want that much for that? There's 25,000 of these. Come on, man.
But keep this in mind as well. Those are just CGC numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are not CBCS numbers. Those are not PGX numbers or EGX or whatever kind of X you got going on, right? Those are just CGC numbers.
Yeah.
Because they've released the census and they tell us what the numbers are. It's obvious that the same books keep populating. It's obvious they keep populating. So, but it's always nice to see those rarities that pops up, because you're always, for every spawn that you see, there's going to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Or you think all new Venom number 5 is going to make it to this list somehow?
No.
Possibility.
No.
You're like, no.
No.
All right. Before we get to the chart busters, I want to remind everybody I am going to give this book away to a channel member. If you are a channel member, you're already part of the giveaway. If you are not a channel member, the way you could do it is you could either join the membership program and you will qualify to win this Omega Men number 3, the first appearance of Lobo, or if you leave a chat, a super chat of $4.99 or higher, that qualifies you for being a channel member for the month, and we could do that. Also, if anybody wants to gift any channel memberships, you're more than welcome to, and that'll qualify those individuals as well. This book is going away today. I'm going to give it to you with the comic capsule as well. I may even throw in a couple of other books here and there because it is for the channel membership, and a thank you for being a part of the IzzyVerse Rat Pack. So thank you guys for everything. Before we even move on to the chart busters, let's see here. Woo, thank you. Before we move on to the chart busters, I just want to remind everybody that tomorrow, the next episode of, let me just get this out of it. Next episode of the Top 10 Rewind is happening. We're going to take a look at April 2024, the top comic books that came out a year ago. There's talking about X-Men. There's a lot of X-Men in this list for this week's list. So go check it out. It's going to come out. It's about 1 o'clock Eastern. That's the time it came out last week. Believe it or not, as I told you, Shane, I'm still working on the video. So when I'm done here, it's not much left. So that's the good news. But once I send it out to Cover Price, they upload it. So it'll be fine. It'll make it in time. All right. And there you go. Clap, clap, Crips. All right. So it is now time for the part of the show that everybody loves, and that is the chart busters. So we're going to take a look at the top selling comic books in the month of March for every age. And there's some big ones in this one, as they always are. So let's go for it. Okay, the chart busters. We're going to take a look at all the books that sold during the month of March, starting with the modern age comic books that sold, and then we're going to go all the way down to golden age comic books that were on sale, that sold either through auction, through a fixed price on eBay, or some other site. This is a very impressive number of books that we're going to look at. We're going to look at a total of 25 books here. You got a chance to look at the chart busters yet, Shane? So this is going to be your first time watching it. Okay, we're going to have some really cool books. Some books that we've seen before. But again, the prices of these books is what's really is the standout. You know, the price and the grade for that matter. We like to start it off with the modern books. So we're going to kick it off with modern age. And these are the books that were the modern age books. These are the chart busters. Let's start off with number 5. And that is Secret Wars #1. This is the Connecting Bianchi variant. This book came out in 2015 for Marvel Comics. This sold for $4,000 on March 29th at a fixed price through eBay. And the reason why it's sold, it is a Stan Lee signature, and it has the old CGC yellow label.
And not smudged either.
No, this is at a time that he was able to sign it without being smudged.
Poor Stan.
Yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
It's really the signature that made this sell. Because I don't think the book
so,
is as
for
valuable. You know? And usually we do see a Stan Lee signatures in this list, right? So his signatures is demanding top dollar these days.
Yeah, and there's no more being added. Like, it's a finite number of books.
Or are they?
Or are they?
Remember, it's JSA.
Yeah.
So now they are being added, but authenticated signatures, that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
So, witness signatures, I take that back. It's authenticated is happening. It's witness signatures. Yeah. So $4,000. It's a Bianchi variant. So you could even get that cracked open and get Bianchi to sign it.
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that? It's a
Would
9.8, man. It's possible.
Oh, I wouldn't take the chance.
Yeah.
Get him to sign the slab. Fine.
Get him to sign. I've seen that
And then
people are now
slab the
signing
slab.
slabs.
Yeah, sign the slab the slab.
Slab to slab. Wait, $4,000. What the? What you really want to say is,
what the hell is even that?
there you have it at number 5 for $4,000. Secret Wars #1, the Bianchi variant signed by Stan Lee. Let's take a look at what's number 4. We talked about Venom. We're going to talk about Venom again. Venom Lethal Protector #1. This is the black cover variant. This came out in 1993 from Marvel Comics. It sold for $4,300 on eBay on March 18th at a fixed price. This is an era variant.
I love
9.0.
Yeah, I love this book because this is one that you have the knowledge and you can be flipping through at flea markets, yard sales, wherever, and possibly find this raw and people would not know about it. Like, that's what I like about this book.
Well, that's the only way you're going to find this book.
Yeah.
In that kind of price, because dealers will know, collectors will know. So yard sale, flea market type of thing. We talked about the gold cover, but the black cover is an era. So, but I love how Spider-Man's face is like this.
Yeah.
And now it's more like that because probably the price tag.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Spider-Man face palm.
But this could very well be one of the most expensive modern age comics in a 9.0.
Yeah. This one is worth, because I don't know about the black one, if it still has if you can work on pressing it or not, but this one would be worth resubmitting.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It depends on what the defects are.
Yeah. I bet you there's no greater notes.
You know what? I could find out if there are greater notes, because that's what's really nice about this list. So if I go back and, we're going to take a pause here for a second. If I go back to this book, which I can, that's a modern age book. I could go back to the original notes here, and it's sold $4,300, which is not the highest price for the book, by the way. And if I look at the grader's notes, which like I said, I could do that. Grader's notes set spine stress lines to cover. It's not going to get better.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. However, there was another one that sold back in December for $5,000. Even there is a 9.8 that's even sold for $6,000. So, but it's a 9.0. Somebody bought a 9.0 for $4,000.
Yeah.
Right. I've never seen a black cover. Interesting. Yeah, it's probably pretty rare. As far as the census goes, there's a lot, in comparison. Currently there's 348 copies in the census.
Yeah.
There's 2 number 10s. And there's a sign number 1. There's a sign 9.9. That's crazy.
Wow, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That's number 4. Let's take a look at number 3. Speaking of rare, Batman 608. This is the City of Burbank variant that came out in 2020 for DC Comics. $4,500. This sold at a fixed price over eBay on March 14th. And this is a Visit Burbank promotional comic book.
How does that even happen? Like, somebody at City of Burbank is clearly a comic book fan and is like, hey, we should have a variant of a comic book to increase people coming here.
Well, keep in mind, I'm assuming that's where Jim Lee lives. So Jim Lee went ahead and said, let's just make a City of Burbank comic book. Here you go.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love it.
And it's not even I've seen this drawing.
Yeah.
608 Hush, first Hush storyline. But
sell immediately. Izzy, sell immediately.
Well, that's what this guy sold it for. $4,500. What a book, right? Like, we talked about this, I think 2 months ago when we started doing this. And there was a Jim Lee, there was an absolute, was it an app? No, it wasn't an absolute. It was definitely another Jim Lee book, but it was a Six Flags exclusive. Remember the Six Flags exclusive? Yeah. This had to have been the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it was like, it was given, there was a handful that was given, they bought it. People didn't buy it. It was given to them. Some people knew what it was. Some people just took it as it is. But talking about rare, there's only 58 in the census. That's it.
That's low.
All right. So that's your book. That came in number 3. You guys are ready for number 2? Invincible number 1, 2003 for Image Comics. This book sold for $6,000 on eBay March 11 for a fixed price. And it's signed by Ryan Otley. Features the first appearance of Invincible and Omni-Man. Not a rare book in the sense of the other books, but an important book. And to top it off, signed book. And to top that off, 9.8.
Yeah, just awesome. And verified signatures. So
witnessed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or sorry, witnessed. Yeah.
Witnessed, verified, I guess is the same thing in this particular instance.
Yeah, great book. Crazy price. Again, as much as I like Invincible and all of that, and I'd love to have a copy of this, it's a sell for me.
Yeah. Now the census count for Invincible is actually pretty high. It's about 2,078 to be precise. So there are pretty good number of books in the census. However, when it comes to signed books, there's only 215, and there's only 51 that are 9.8.
Yeah, you really kind of funnel it down to there's not many of these, that's for sure.
In this format, at least.
Yeah.
So, all right. And now our number 1 book when it comes to modern age. We've seen this book before. Amazing Spider-Man 667, the Del Auto 1-in-100 retailer incentive variant that came out in 2011 for Marvel Comics. This sold through Hack's auction on March 26th for $16,874. It is a 9.8 with JSA authenticated autographs from Roberto Ramos and Dan Slott.
This book, like minus the signatures already, is already a ghost of a book. And wow, that is again, as much as I love Spider-Man, to me, this is a sell. I would sell this one. I love it, but you can get a lot of cool books for $16,000.
And just to give you insight, there's 79 copies in the census, 11 signed. 4 of those 11 are 9.8s. There's only 4 in existence that are like this.
Yeah.
And this is a double signature.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So that's your number one modern age book for this month that's sold at the highest price, $16,874. If only.
Yeah.
If only, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the Copper Age Chartbusters. These are the books that came out in 1985 to 2000. Again, these are the top selling books for the month of March. We got some good ones, some of which we've seen before as well. So let's go ahead and start it off with number 5. Spider-Man number 1, the second printing UPC Gold Edition. 1990 Marvel Comics, sold for $4,500 at a fixed price in March 18th through eBay. This one's signed by Todd McFarlane and Stan Lee.
That's awesome. Have both those signatures on the same book.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
That is that is definitely pretty cool. I like the gold. There's only 758, so we talk about rare books. Spider-Man number 1 is not rare.
No.
Spider-Man number 1, the second printing UPC Gold Edition, that's rare.
Yeah.
That is very rare. All right. So it is a book. It's a 9.8. There are quite a few signed copies. There's 129 signed copies, but I don't know if many of them are Stan Lee and Todd McFarlane.
And I would hazard a guess that they're not.
Also, you got the nice little Spider-Man label to go with it as well.
Yeah.
Which that's pretty cool. Okay. Let's take a look at number 4. The Crow, 1989 Caliber Press. This book sold for $6,318 on March 10th through eBay, through an auction. This is the Jim O'Barr story, cover and art. This is not the first appearance of the Crow. However, this is an iconic book. It has a very low print run because it's Caliber Press, is an indie book. But man, this is one of those books I would love to own one day.
What's funny is the last year at the con here in Niagara Falls, James O'Barr was there doing a signing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I told you this before. I don't remember though. But I'm walking around randomly into like a vendor, and standing right there is James O'Barr. He's just looking through the comic bins like everybody else, and I'm like scratching my head going, I think that's James O'Barr. And then so I'm like standing beside him, and he starts talking to the vendor, and it is him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. Like, it just was crazy that only in comic world could the creator of such a cool character like just be randomly walking around and not well known enough that would be swarmed, but if everybody knew who he would be surrounded.
Yeah,
it was really cool. And I agree, this is a you don't see this book very often. And look at the cover, the black all around and a 9.8. I mean, that is pretty difficult.
It is very difficult to get a 9.8. In fact, there are a total of 76 9.8s that exist. 11 are signed. So it is a hard book to get at a high grade.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a hard book. I want to say this, that it's actually not a hard book to get. Like, the book in itself is not hard to get. To get a high caliber book, that becomes a little more challenging because of the blacks.
Yeah.
The blacks of the books, the rarity of the book. It's kind of like the Turtles, right? So it came at a time where it has a low print run because it's an indie book. It didn't gain momentum till much later, right? And then the tragedy that comes with this book, because not only is it a tragedy in the sense of Brandon Lee's death, but there is a story behind the Crow that James O'Barr has shared, and it is a very very dark story. The James O'Barr story is very dark. There's some great videos out there about the story of the Crow and the story about James O'Barr, and to see James O'Barr at conventions, which I think he's going to be in the convention over here pretty soon, which I'll get a chance to see him. And I've seen him before in the past, but like you said, he comes across as just a regular guy.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know how much he makes from the Crow, because it sounds to me like he probably doesn't make much. You know what I mean? That he's still doing the convention circuit. People are, he's just doing comic book shopping and things like that. So he's kind of like a secluded character himself, but it is this is a book I would love to own one day. I would love to own this book one day. Okay. 12-month average for the Crow is 6,347 with 7 copies sold. So it's par for, exactly. 9.212, yeah. Large drop off. Yeah, the 9.8 to the 9.6, of course, it usually is. And just like Alex, I want this book. I don't know if I'll ever have it because of the price tag of it.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a book. If somebody would like to give me the Crow, I'll be happy and I'll be grateful. So if you guys are watching. All right, let's take a look at number 3. We talked about this book before too. Abeto number 2, 1984 from Thoughts and Images. $6,476 on Hacks auction as well on March 26, 2025. This last time we sold this book, I think it was at a 9.0. This one's at a 9.4. But here's the catch with this one. It's the first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo, but more importantly, it has a sketch written on the first page in pen that says "Best Stands to Kai." It is a signed book, even though it's not recognized as a signed book.
Let's get into this. Like, here's my thing with this. Big deal. Like, unless you're including like the picture, or you're the owner of this, like the original owner, who cares? I would never pay more money for a book that's sealed, that has something written on the inside that I'm never going to be able to see unless my intention is to buy it and
crack it open.
Yeah, I would never do that.
But here's my next question. How did it get a blue label?
Yeah, maybe it was sent in before they were doing all the verification. I don't know all the rules for verification. Maybe they only do it for cover signatures. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the only thing. So it wasn't graded that long ago. This was graded in 2021, and it got a blue label, even though it has a signature in it. How you got past it? I don't know. How did it not get like a purple label or a green label or something like that? I don't know what the rules are when it comes to signed books on the interiors, in other words.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting. I'm with you. It's inside, so I'll never get to see it if I have it slabbed, unless I decide to crack it open.
Yeah.
So I have to just go based on that. Yeah. Sad thing is the book is lightly a 9.8 without the. That could be it. It could be it. But based on the information in the grader's notes, it's not. It has wear on the top of the spine and very light spine stress lines for the cover break colors. So it's It's not a 9.8. It's actually a 9.4. Based on those kinds of notes, it's actually a 9.4. But it somehow made it without getting a green or a purple label somehow. Let's take a look at number 3. Amazing Spider-Man 238. This is a Mark Jeweler insert variant. Came out in 1983 from Marvel Comics. It sold on eBay on March 11th at a fixed price of $15,400. First appearance of Hobgoblin. And yes, this has the tattoos inside.
That's amazing. What a rare book for sure. I have this book. Obviously, I have this one. It's the Canadian price variant, which we won't go down that rabbit hole of inserts or not. But mine is in pretty rough shape, so I'm always on the watch for a good deal on this book in really good shape.
Mm-hmm. You know, everything about this book, this one specifically, is like the best deal you could ever have. You got the Mark Jeweler insert. You got the tattoos. It's obviously is a newsie, which doesn't really matter in 1983, to be honest with you. And it's a 9.8. So everything about it, it's perfect. This is a perfect book.
Yeah, the only way you get a more rare book really is if you had a Mark Jeweler's Canadian price variant with the tattoos. Because now you're talking 90%. There's 10 times less print run of Canadian books with the CPVs than US books. So you're really narrowing it down.
Right. So the question here is, what do you guys think of Mark Jewelers? Like or no? I'll let you answer that question first, because I have my answer.
I like them. I don't hunt them for any particular book. I think it's cool. Because obviously, if you're asking the question, you know the history of Mark Jewelers and where they came from. So that they've had more travel to them and more exposure, and likely aren't going to be as good a shape. It makes them more desirable for people. This one is, I would say, it's a little bit different. If you go back to the comments we had about a signature on the inside. This is something on the inside you're never going to be able to see. You might see it if you held it from the bottom up. You could see the insert inside because the pages are darker. Mm-hmm. But if you're hunting like the rarest of the rare and you've already got your 9.8 of the regular version of this, then this is one more step up that you can try to find.
Yeah, as far as Mark Jeweler inserts, I'm not in the hunt for anything for a Mark Jeweler insert. So as far as hunting for Mark Jewelers, I'm not in that game. As far as coming across Mark Jewelers, I think there is some historic value to the Mark Jewelers as opposed to a newsstand. A newsstand, to me, I couldn't care less about newsstand. I don't care about newsstands, right? The only time I care about newsstand if the book was sold in the late 90s and above. Yeah. Because that's when the newsstand actually matters, right? Yeah. That's the rarity of that. So that's that. Anything before 95, newsstands don't mean squat. And you could take that to the bank, right? However, when it comes to Mark Jewelers, what makes them, I guess, more sought after is, like you said, there is a little bit of a rarity that goes along with that. Mark Jeweler comic books were not sent to stores. They were usually sent to military bases, right? They would go to a military base, and usually one of the military soldiers would buy the comic book and read it. It's been a tradition since the 40s, right? Where comic books will get sent out to the soldiers so they could read comic books. And in the 40s, that was a big deal. And that's why war comic books are so popular, for the same reason. With that being said, by the fact that they were being sent out to military base also meant that they were just reader copies. And if anybody knows anything about reader copies, is that they weren't meant to be preserved. They weren't meant to be protected. They weren't meant to be taken care of. They were actually meant to be traded off, because that was comic books originally. Comic books were very much like baseball cards. You traded them off with people. And even as myself as a kid, I used to trade off my comic books with my friends all the time. It was a common practice. To, in the 90s, that practice kind of died out. But when it comes to the military comics books, that's what it was. You traded here, you read this one, you did that, the same thing. So in doing that, the book got damaged. It just did. It was meant to be read, and it was treated like that. They were folded up, put it in the back pockets, and whatever. A 9.8 Mark Jeweler for a book that goes from 1983. You know what I mean? So that's the real part of it that makes it so special. 1983, Mark Jeweler, and we haven't even spoken about the tattoo.
Yeah.
Right? There's an insert tattoo that makes the book whole. Of course, most of the kids that bought this comic book took the tattoo and put it on their shoulder, not knowing what's going to happen in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this book, $15,000. I wouldn't pay that much money for a book like this. I'll be honest, but that's just me. But if I was a rich man, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's worth having. And it's just a great cover. I love the cover.
Oh, it's the cover. I mean, it's amazing. This is what a first appearance cover should look like.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's take a look at the #1 Copper Age book that's sold in the month of March, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Came out in 1984 from Mirage Studios. This one was sold on eBay on March 9th for $36,000. A 9.4, and just like the other book, this book also has Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird and 2 sketches written on the interior cover in pen. But like you said, you ain't gonna see it.
Yeah. Like, you're going to spend your whole life owning this book. And in the back of my mind anyway, I'd be like, are they really there?
Oh, it's that one day where you said, damn it, I need to know. I have to know. You just crack it open and you open it up and it's not there. It's like, they lied to me.
Yeah. Put it through the x-rays or something. I don't know.
How can you tell? You could just see the line work or something like that.
Oh.
But that's how signatures work. I do have a lot of comic books that I've gotten signed where they sign on the interior.
Right, because they didn't want anything to happen to the cover, so they signed on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get that. And if you have the book and you have it raw and you can see that, that's something cool. Like, but
put it in a comic capsule, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if you do this, I don't know, you're never seeing it again.
But you could sell it for $36,000.
Instantly sold. Take it, sell it, no problem.
And then so you know what's in this book? It has Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. They did 2 sketches inside. And then you go and they would say, okay, can we see it? No. And even if you were a buyer and they have a picture of it, it's like, you don't know if that's from that book or not. You have no clue. Well, you're hoping that CGC didn't lie to you.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Come on, an honest grader?
I don't think that the graders are dishonest. I just think that look at the volume we were talking about in the other segment. It's a human system. Mistakes happen.
Okay. All right. So there you have it, guys. Those are your Copper Age books. Let's take a look now at the next level. And we're going to look at the Bronze Age chart busters. These are the books that were from 1970 to 1985. Another great list. Another more bangers for your buck. And they're just getting higher, the price tags. Let's take a look at the first book in this list, and that's Marvel Spotlight #1. This book came out in 1972 from Marvel Comics. It sold at Heritage Auction on March 11th for $6,000. This was #1 last month, this book. Not this one, but a 9.2 for $6,000.
I love this book. Ghost Rider is one of my favorite characters. I'm actually just rereading one from the Masterpiece or whatever Masterworks collection, and it's a really interesting read to see the development of the character. And I have this graded in a 4.0. And hey, I've got the first appearance of Ghost Rider. It's cool. It's nice to have. 6,000. Good for them. Will
you ever consider upgrading it?
Yeah. Oh, of course. I'd be happy with like anything in the 8s, like maybe even a 9. But again, that's a lot to pay for sure.
Yeah, because usually that's how people get their books, right? They get their higher quality books because they'll trade off the old book that they have and they'll just keep upgrading it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have that emotional attachment. There is an attachment to it, but it's not that emotional attachment of this is the book I have to have.
Yeah.
You just want to have a copy.
Yeah, and at this point, like I didn't buy this book personally. Like it wasn't a raw book that I had in my collection when I was a kid. I've got a bunch of those books graded, and the grades, I don't care about the grades. Whereas this one, I bought it already slabbed. If I get all the books that I want for my personal grails, then it's time to go back and revisit and go, okay, well, let's see, what can we upgrade here?
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at #4. Amazing Spider-Man 129. This book came out in 1974 from Marvel Comics. It sold on eBay on March 8th of 2025 at a fixed price of $6,566. First appearance of Punisher and the Jackal at a 9.6.
Yeah, and again, it's a love-hate relationship with this book because I paid so much money for it. But I do own it, and I'm super happy that I do. 9.6 for $6,500. I mean,
that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it is for sure when you look at the values of the 9.8s. And this book has also come down a little bit, but this one of those books that it's always going to trend up over time.
Yeah. Now look at the difference here. 9.8 of this book goes for a fair market value of $18,000. Meanwhile, 1 point lower, really 1 point lower, 9.6 goes for $6,000.
Yeah,
that's a 2 times, well, right, 2 times lower than its price. How is that even a thing?
Yeah, and for if you send in the book, if you could afford to send it in, that eventually it's going to come back a 9.8. It will. When you're that close at a 9.6 or a 9.8, especially with a book from this era, they're a little bit more lenient, I think. So, but you can't afford, not many people could afford to send this over and over and over again till it hits.
Well, yeah, because you also have to pay for the pricing, right?
Yeah.
For the price of the book, and there's a percentage that goes in there. So you're not going to pay your standard price for the book. You're going to pay because the book is a key book, or is a not even a key book. It's just whatever. That's just their way of making money out of it. You know what I mean? They want to be able to make their money, so they'll throw in that 9.8 just for that sake. But I always find that discrepancy so weird. A difference of 1 point makes it, $12,000 more expensive. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's the same when you go to like a 1 point difference, go to a 9.9. It's often
a 9.9. I could understand a little bit more, to tell you the truth, because there's like that's a golden comic. You know what I mean? And I don't mean golden age. I mean golden as in you're not there. There's literally 2 or 3, or this may be the only one.
Yeah.
You know, which makes it a little different. But there's 18,000 copies of this book in the census.
Yeah.
Get my point? Number 3, Incredible Hulk 181. This book came out in 1974 from Marvel Comics. It sold at Heritage Auction on March 4th for $10,200. This is the first appearance of Wolverine. This is a CBSC, right? Copy at a 9.4. First appearance of
I guarantee
Wolverine.
that this book is already. Yeah, it's already been cracked and sent to CGC, I'm sure.
What do you think they'll grade it?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think, well, let me ask you, if you had this book, would you take the chance of breaking it out and damaging it and then sending it to CGC? Or would you leave it as is and send it to them to regrade?
That's a hard question, because I will also have to see what the why is it a 9.4? What justifies 9.4?
Yeah.
Also, a book of this magnitude, of this importance, obviously a CGC version is more expensive than a CBCS version, and therefore it becomes, is it worth it in that way as opposed to getting it right the other way? So just to show you what I'm talking about, a CGC copy, a fair market value of a CGC copy of a 9.4 is $12,000.
Yeah.
That's a $2,000 increase.
Yeah.
Where a CBCS, I'm tongue twisting, is 11,000. Doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to cough up $10,000, that means I have that kind of money. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Right? If I have that kind of money, I'll send it to, I could probably give it to somebody to press and clean that I trust. You know, a true professional. That's what I'm saying. A true professional that's going to press and clean, but I got to make sure I'm insured in some way as well. I'll pay for that, and then I'll have them send it out to CGC. That's the best I could do when it comes to that book. You know what I mean? It's not too old of a book that it cannot be properly managed.
Yep.
If it's a golden age book, I ain't touching it.
Yeah, for sure.
You get what I'm saying? Because the pages are brittle, they're gonna fall apart. Any little thing could destroy the book, right? However, this book is not as old in that sense that it can't be managed properly. You got what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can do that.
All right. That's your number 3 book. Let's take a look at our number 2 book, and that is Tomb of Dracula number 10. This book came out in 1973 from Marvel Comics. This book sold in Heritage Auction on March 4th for $15,000. This is the first appearance of Blade the Vampire Hunter. $15,000, 9.8 first appearance of Blade. Was it worth it?
I love Blade as a character. This is an awesome first appearance in a 9.8. You know, this is 1973, so you're starting to get difficult time to get 9.8s.
Mm-hmm.
The price, for me, like, I would love to have this book like in some kind of state, probably get it raw. But in any high grade, I would put the money towards something else personally. But I do think it's an amazing book for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is not the first time we looked at Tomb of Dracula number 10. We've talked about this book before, but last time we saw it, I think it was a 9.2 or a 9.4. It wasn't a 9.8. And just looking at this price tag for this book and just really the popularity of Blade himself. Blade, it's just, there was a time that this book wasn't going to be that expensive if it wasn't for Wesley Snipes.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So as of today, Blade is a character that people are dying to see. I think at its current price, it might be a good buy because there is so much discussion of Blade, the Blade movie that's supposed to come out that's sitting in limbo right now because they can't seem to get a proper director, even though I heard there might be a director.
Yeah, it's already been pushed back
Yeah.
beyond which is unfortunate because Mahershala Ali, I was really looking forward to seeing what he did with this. I hope he sticks around, and I'm glad he's kind of, I think a lot of this is coming from his side saying, we're telling a Blade story here, not, some other story.
So with that being said, I could see a push for this book going up, and that's why people are still hunting it down and they're paying the money because it might end up being a $20,000 book when the time that movie pops up.
Yeah, I mean, watch for it. They've already kind of released about the whole old X-Men. I would not be surprised to see Wesley Snipes come back and die as part of, Doomsday.
I'll say Secret Wars.
Yeah, in Secret
I
Wars.
think it's Secret Wars.
And to add some punch to the story, because, he knows he's not going to keep playing him forever, but fans love him. They loved his appearance in Deadpool. So they could be really tight about that because he could do a scene whenever, right?
Yeah. All right. That's number 2, Tomb of Dracula, number 10. Number 1 and the highest sold book for the month of March was X-Men 94 from 1975 Marvel Comics. This sold in Heritage Auction on March 18th for $31,200. The ugliest X-Men cover ever.
Oh, yeah, we talked about this. I'm not a fan of this cover at all. I love the significance of this book, and this is one that's on my list to get in May. Hopefully, I'm actively looking for this book in raw. I wouldn't buy it graded. I'll send it myself. But I mean, you can't really argue with this significance. First in title appearance of all these characters. Second appearance over all of them, a lot of them. And I think it's the third Wolverine, maybe.
Yeah, it's the third Wolverine, yeah.
So amazing book for sure. First Claremont on title.
So here's the question, and I think I know the answer. $31,000. You decide to sell this. We'll be modest. We'll decide to sell it for $30,000, just for the hell of it. Sell it for $30,000. Would you sell this 9.8 X-Men 94 to get a lesser quality giant size X-Men number 1?
Yeah, I would.
Why?
The X-Men. Or sorry, you said X-Men number 1?
I said giant size X-Men number 1.
Giant size. Yeah, no, I would still do that because to me, it's a better cover. It is the first appearance of a lot of the characters. And that's the era of X-Men that for me is what draw me to, not taking away the importance of the history of the series or the other characters. But that was kind of the run that I got into the X-Men with, was all these characters. So to have their first appearance, it's worth taking a grade cut to have that as well.
And then you could probably pick a lesser copy of this one, right?
Yeah.
And you could still say you have 94, but it won't be a 9.8.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be fine with that.
Okay. So those were the Bronze Age books. Now we're going to take a look at the Silver Age Chartbusters. These are the books that came out in 1956 to 1970. We got some great ones. We got some books that we've seen before, and they're probably in different orders. But let's go ahead and start with number 5. Oh, I love this book. Incredible Hulk Annual #1, 1968 from Marvel Comics. This book is at fixed price on eBay on March 11th for $11,000. Iconic cover, and that's all it is, by Jim Steranko.
And we talked about this in the
Last
last
week.
the spotlight section of just classic covers, and that's exactly what it is. And yeah, of course, 9/8, amazing.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, as far as the key significance, its only key significance is this cover.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
is it worth that $11,000?
For sure? People, like, it's already sold, so somebody thought it was.
Somebody, it's funny because I'm in facility of a 0.5 of this book,
Yeah,
and I'm
the
constantly
exact opposite
thinking
end of
about
the
it.
spectrum.
I constantly think about it because I love the cover so much. I
I
think
know.
this cover is amazing, and I think it's so great, man. Now that's a great cover.
I
You
wonder
got
what
it.
happened with the original art for this cover. Can you
That's a good
imagine the price of
question.
that?
That is definitely a good question because obviously the trade dress is part of it.
Yeah,
And I'm sure he did the artwork for the trade dress, Steranko, instead of just having them put it up. But such a good book, man. Such a good book. Let's take a look at #4. Detective Comics 233. This book came out in 1956 for DC Comics. So this is really right on the borderline of Silver Age. It's sold at a fixed price on eBay on March 30th for $11,800. And this features the first appearance and origin of Batwoman Kathy Kane.
yeah. Me, I'm not as attached to this age of books, so yeah, I appreciate the history of it for sure. And you get the first Batwoman, which obviously has generated so many other cool characters. So I do like that part about it, but this one I sell for other stuff for sure.
Yeah, Batwoman was never one of those characters that, and I'm not referring to the new 52 version, of course, but before that, no one cared. Just like it was a character that was created in the 50s, obviously because of the code and all that stuff. They pretty much they had no choice but to create her, I guess. But no one cared. Supergirl, on the other hand, everyone loves.
Yeah.
That woman kind of like just died out. Like, I don't even know how long she lasted for because of course we ended up getting Batgirl. So I guess that was the replacement for her. They prefer the girl over the woman.
Yeah.
But and who doesn't, right? But the truth is, it's like it's one of those things. It's like you buy it, it's like, and you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
7.5 is actually a pretty good grade, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely for that age of book, that's amazing.
Yeah. #3. Why are you not going? Oh. Amazing Fantasy #15. This book came out in 1962 from Marvel Comics. This sold at a fixed price on eBay for $21,506 at a 2.0.
This is it for me, Izzy. This is the book. I would sell any other book in my collection, all of them. Take all 17,000. If I can get this one book, I would do it.
Why?
It's the first appearance of Spider-Man. It's your whole. You would be holding, like, the feeling I get anyway, from having like that first Ghost Rider and knowing like the history of it. And that's Ghost Rider, which I think is a cool character, but nowhere near the stature of Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, of course.
And to have that in your hand, and it's not an uncommon book. Let's, be honest about that. It's hard to get and it's expensive, but if you have money and you want to buy it, you can go anywhere right now and buy a copy of this.
Amazing Fantasy is one of those books that obviously most collectors want to have it. I will admit to that. Most collectors want to own this book. And in wanting to own this book, it actually drives the price up.
Oh, for
Right?
sure.
Because there's a demand that goes along with it. The only thing that really gets me thinking more about this book is that is not as uncommon as you would think,
Oh, yeah, I agree.
right?
I agree.
So if I look at the census right now for this book, there's 4,000 copies in the census,
Yeah.
right? Now, granted, they're all, for the most part, they're low grades, right? So you
Yeah.
know, you got a 0.5s, 157.5, 136.1, 1.0, 155 at a 1.5, and it starts trickling a little higher. When you get to the 6, that's when you get to double digits, and then when you get to the 9s, that's when you get to real rarity to it, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at this book, the highest is like a 4.0, and a 4.0 fair market value of 4.0 is about $31,000. It has everything to do, like you said, the historic value of the book. Spider-Man is practically the most loved character in comics. I think he's more loved than Superman and Batman, even though Superman is more iconic. But
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man is more beloved.
For sure, because he's more relatable. He's not an alien. He's not a billionaire.
Mhm.
He's just a kid like the rest of us were when we read this book, or
Yeah.
when we first heard about Spider-Man.
Mhm. So I think it's really good for its price. Is definitely good. It's just really interesting that there's as many as they are,
Yeah.
and of course that's just a census count. There's more in existence.
This is one, and I don't know what your opinion on this is, but this is almost a book that I would rather buy graded than raw.
Oh
I
yeah,
I wouldn't want to take the chance that it was, color touched or had something done to it. And personally, I would never send this book back in for any reason.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Just looking at this one, I'm afraid it's gonna fall off.
Right. You would,
You know what I mean? Just because it's a good book to look at. Obviously, at a 2.0, you can see the cracks, you can see the pages falling apart on the book. Yeah, it's not. This book will never go up in value. It will never go up in grade. This
Yeah.
particular copy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow, I can't believe it's that much for this comic. Yeah, it's Spider-Man's first appearance, man. Of course it is. All right. That's a good price for the book. It's about 10 a point typically, but you can negotiate it out with a good dealer would do that. The tell for this book is the blue suit on the roof. Ah, okay. That's interesting. Good knowledge there, JSS. All right. Let's take a look at number 2. And that's Fantastic Four, number 1 in 1962 from Marvel Comics. This book sold in Heritage Auction on March 4th for $24,000 at a 4.0.
Yeah, this one, we've talked about this because we've seen this book before. I'm not as attached to the Fantastic Four, so I would not be, I'm not seeking this book, or it's not on my radar to buy or anything like that. So, but it is cool to see that it has historic value, obviously, and classic.
Well, also, I'm sure the price of this book is getting ramped up because of Fantastic Four movie. So I could see that. I'm sorry, I just read the comment. Seth 11, you the man. I'll pick a booger out of my nose today for less. Well, I think we're okay with that. We don't need that visual, but I think it has a lot to do with this movie that's coming out. which is ramping up the price. So with Fantastic Four #1, this is that moment where you got to say to yourself, give it some time to cool off. It's going to drop in value.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And our #1 Silver Age book for the month of March, Spider-Man #1, 1963. This book sold on Comic Book Addiction at a fixed price on March 12th for $28,800. 7.5.
I mean, just look at that. You can tell that it's in really great shape. That's awesome.
That is a good grade for this book. And the price, dare I say, is low?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think this book should be worth more at a 7.5. You know, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, because I figured like a 1 or sorry, like 2.5 to 4.5 would likely be 10 or 15,000, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. I think this book is like really good price for that price. 7.5, $28,000. Cool. Another book that would be nice to have, right?
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm. What I find interesting is I don't think a lot of people hunt this one down as much as they hunt down AF-15, but people do want to have this because they have to complete their Spider-Man runs.
Yeah,
and that's part of the reason why this book still gets sought after. Mm-hmm. All right. Those are your Silver Age books. We're now going to the part of the show where we're going to be looking at the Golden Age books. These are the books that came out in 1938 to 1956. Whew, we got some big ones here and some fun ones. So let's go ahead and start it off with #5. Submariner Comics 42, 1955. So this is at the brink, right? Even to the point that it even gets the code. Atlas Comics. So this is before Marvel was the thing. So that's kind of like what puts it in the Golden Age. This sold in Heritage Auction on March 11th for $8,400. This is the last Submariner comic of that run.
Look at how big they had to make the code sticker too.
Yeah, it was when it first came out, it was huge, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller, and then eventually disappeared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about this one?
Submariner, he's not my thing really. I'm not super attached to the Submariner. There was some covers that were amazing in his early run that I like, but overall, I don't even know if I own more than 5 Submariner books.
Yeah, I think with this one, for the price, $8,400 at 9.4, for a book that really doesn't have any key significance other than it's the last issue of a series, it's a Golden Age book, it's fine for its price. I don't think it's not a $10,000 book.
It's likely someone completing the run.
Yeah, but it's 9.4, book that's 1955.
Oh, awesome grade for sure.
Yeah, cool. Let's take a look at #4. Fight Against Crime #20. This book came out in 1954 for Story Comics. It sold on eBay on March 4th for $9,900. And this features a classic decapitation cover. And inside there's a hanging panel.
If you're buying Golden Age horror books right now, I mean, don't.
$100 shy from $10,000.
Yeah, they are so hot right now, and everybody is after them. I just feel like you wait. I don't know if in 3 or 4 years these books continue to go up the way they are. I think that
they will.
It's something that's hot right now. I don't know. Yeah.
These books always sell. There is definitely a community that loves these pre-code horror books. I don't know It's called Fight Against Crime, so I guess it says horror too, so I don't know where I would put it. But it is a pre-code horror book. That cover is just he's dumping her in the manhole. The best thing is if you can't really read it, but there is something that in the caption that he says that's pretty funny. Let me see if I could pull it up so I can read it to you. But it cracked me up when I read it. He's something about the highway, and as I'm loading this up, let me see if I can find it here. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay, there it is. I found it. So it says, Scarface told me this road was blocked, but here comes the cops.
Oh, that's good.
Scarface lied to you. He called the cops. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Right? So, fun book, man. Fun book, but what a cover, man. Decapitations or something, man. And it's not, like, in all fairness, it's not as graphic as other books we've seen before when it comes to these golden age pre-code horror. So it's like there's no blood or anything like that. Obviously, it's still decapitation, but it's not as prevalent as it is in other books. Therefore, I think that's what justifies the price tag.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, Nelvana, 1954 from Bell Features. This was sold in the Heritage Auction on March 15th, and it sold for $15,600. A 6.0. This is a Andrean Dingle cover and art. It's a Canadian variant because this is a Canadian comic book.
I have never heard of this book. That's funny.
This is definitely, look, if you look at the bottom, it says Eskimo Mounties and Trappers.
Yeah.
And it's a one-shot.
Yeah.
Nevada of the Northern Lights.
Yeah, and I have no idea if they ever even, like, where this character is now. Like, Bell Features, I've never even heard of this.
She's nowhere to be found, I'll tell you that much. But
Yeah.
And Bell Features, I'm assuming she's available if anybody wants to purchase her. I don't know if anybody's out there trying to get Nelvana.
Somebody is.
Somebody wants the book.
Yeah.
Willing to call for $15,000 for it. Cool book. 6.0, not bad. Pretty good grade for a 1945 book.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely good grade. A book that I don't know why it's so important. It's important. It is a Canadian book, so I guess there's something in that. So what's $15,000 Canadian?
Oh, in US?
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably around 11 or 12.
Okay. Well, this is 15,000 US.
Yeah.
It would be worth more.
Oh, yeah, it would be about between like 17.5 and 20.
Okay. So Beyond Wednesday says the very first Canadian superhero. Thank you, Brian. I was not aware of that. So that makes it actually very important if that's true.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they put that on the label.
They did not.
Nope.
Oh, tied with a male superhero. Of course. Nevada was a Canadian animation studio. That I know about. I knew about Rock and Roll. That the Canadian animation studio I'm well aware of, largely because of its connections to Inspector Gadget. So that I know. But I didn't know that it was one of the first Canadian superhero. That I wasn't aware of. And like you said, it's not written anywhere in the book. So this is actually pretty good to know. So first Canadian superhero. That's great. That makes this book even more valuable.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Let's take a look at number 2 in our list, and that is a tie. We have a tie for number 1. First one we're going to do is Crash Comics number 1. This came out in 1940 from Temp Publishing Corporation or a company. It's sold on eBay at a fixed price on March 28th for $17,500. And this features the origin and the first appearance of Catman, Also, it has Joe Simon and Jack Kirby art, and it's a Burt Whitman cover. First Catman.
Yeah, 8.5 from 1940. Wow.
$17,000. 17.5. That's pretty
Amazing.
cool. I like Catman. Catman's one of those rare characters
Yeah.
that I enjoy.
I just think the grade given the year is amazing.
That is pretty amazing. It's cool. It's tied for number one because it's sold for the same price as the other one. So what's the other number one book also sold for $17,500, but it's not Catman. Rather, it's Batman. But more importantly, it's Detective 38, 1940, DC Comics, $17,500, fixed price on eBay, March 10th. First appearance of Robin. Also, third DC publication logo.
Yeah, look at I love the old Batman style with that's up in the corner there. I think that's great.
Little corner
And
box,
obviously,
right?
first Robin, I mean, that is a huge key for sure.
This is a restored comic, so it's a 6.0. It's a restored, which when it comes to Golden Age books, I don't have a problem with restored books. I think that's fine because most people did restore the books prior to CGC. So there's a lot of books that have restored. They've been restored prior to CGC, and now today people will try to do it less. But at the same time, you want to, there's certain things about a book, like maybe change its staples or put it through like some kind of bath to clean up the pages. I think that's something when you have a professional that's able to do that, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you want the book to be presentable. I think that's really the point here, that you want the book to look nice in its slab rather than it's all beat up. I'm okay with it in this particular instance.
Yeah, and it does look great. Like, it looks really good.
Yeah, I agree. We did it. We've reached the point of our show where we talked about all the books. This was a good list. I've always enjoyed doing the chart busters. Great stuff. Shane, was there any book that stood out for you?
Oh, I always love seeing the updates on Amazing Fantasy 15. Anything like that, I like to see.
I think the nice one for me was knowing that Nelvado was the first Canadian superhero.
Yeah,
Kind of nice to know that now.
Yeah, a little bit of history.
We got a little history there. We got some really fun books. That 667 Amazing Spider-Man, I still don't. It's still something. And the way incentives work back then were actually different than they do today. So sometimes it's not exactly a 1-for-100 ratio. It's a little different. It's like you have to buy certain books. At that time, it was like you have to buy 5 different books to hit this number. So there was like some rarity in that one. But there's your chart busters. We thank you for watching the chart busters. Thank you so much for it. Thank you, JSS. Very interesting indeed. So we've reached that point of the day, that evening, where we're gonna do our giveaway, but we're gonna give you guys one last chance. So if you become a channel member, if you're a channel member, or if you leave a super chat of $5 or more, we're gonna automatically put you into today's giveaway for the members. And that's going to be the very first appearance of Lobo Omega Men #3. This is actually a pretty solid copy, too. I'm going to give it with the comic capsule. You're going to have this book. I might throw in a couple of other things to add on to it. But this is going out to somebody today, either a channel member or if you leave a super chat of $5 or more. So let's get on with it. And let's get our giveaway ready. So here we are. Why we're showing the wrong one? Let me remove this one. It's so weird. It's not even showing. There we go. That's how it's supposed to show it. So we got our click it to spin it. You can see we have 19 entries right now before we even let it go. I want to let everybody know you still have one final opportunity to be part of this giveaway. All you got to do is you can either put $5 in the super chat or you could become a channel member and you will get your chance to win this Omega Men #3 first appearance of Lobo, a book that's very hot. I see that Alex is feeling lucky today. Dave's collection is saying dope. What's up, Dave? How you doing, my man? All right. I'm waiting to see if somebody's going to put that final number in there. Going once. Going twice. Let's shuffle this up. We're going to shuffle these names, right? Let's do that while we're waiting for somebody. So you tell me when to spin.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to make anybody mad if my
Jarrell has 3 Omega Men.
doing that. But I
So
will
Jarrell,
if you want.
you could give it to somebody if you want to, if you win. What was that, Shane? Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna spin it?
I don't want to see my. Yeah, go ahead.
We do it, and let's go. Who's gonna win the Omega Men 3? Let it be local. Daniel Carpenter. I bet you Alex was looking at it because he was the name right before it, and Alex was like, yeah. Congratulations to Daniel Carpenter. You know what that means for me, Shane?
Local shipping?
It's a local. It's a local. Yeah, and Daniel's a great guy. He's such a great supporter of the channel. Awesome. Congratulations to Daniel Carpenter. I got to hit him up and let him know he won. So, woohoo. So, Shane, with that said, man, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
So tomorrow at 11, I have one here. I'm going to be talking about ratios and if they're worth it. Because I went through a phase where I bought a ton of ratios and yeah, is it worth your money to be buying them? And if you don't know about ratios, I explain a lot about them at the beginning of it too. So check that out if you want.
Guys, tomorrow, if you go to Cover Price, I will be having the top comic book from April 24. That's the top 10 rewind. It usually comes around 1 p.m. Eastern. Go check it out. Hit them up. Let them know that I send you. Leave a comment. It really helps out a lot. We're going to be back here on Monday. We're going to talk a little bit about the new comic books, what's trending, what's new. We're going to have a really, really fun creator spotlight for Monday. It's going to be like the iconic covers one where we decided to go a little differently with this one. But I think it's something that you're going to check out. I'm not going to reveal it right now, of course, but it's something that I have to do the work tomorrow for. But besides that, thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to going to Super Jersey where I'm going to get the next month's prize to give out to the next person. But I got to hit up Daniel, let him know, hey, where can I meet you, man? So this could be your neck of avoid shipping costs. I think I know where he's going to be soon. So go check that out. Thank you for your time. Thank you, guys. Thank you, JSS. And as always, man, we'll see you next time, Alex. Thanks again. You were close, Alex. You were really close, man. Really, really close to getting it. But someone else had to win it this time around. As always, we always like to leave you with a thank you. So from us to you, thank you.
I think this is it. I think you're about to go home. Okay. All right. Look, thank you.
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 Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I never said thank you.
never have to.
Thank you. I guess I'll see you.